Hi there, everybody, and welcome to a Saturday Live. So, thank you very much. If you're joining me live or if you watch this on replay, thank you very much for your for coming along. And of course, because it's a Saturday, yes, I am allowed out of my lair on a Saturday. Yes, I get out amongst the people. And that's where it all goes wrong, really, isn't it? Because I'm at a local shopping centre, which is distinguished in two ways. Hi, Matty, by the way, nice to see you on the stream. This shopping centre is interesting because English is the second language, pretty much, in most of the shops from most of the customers. That's interesting, isn't it? Because it's like... Matty, I'm extraordinarily well, thank you so much. Doing well, fighting fit, as they say. But yeah, it's a very enriched area I'm in here. Very enriched, very multicultural. So as I say, so it's distinguished by the fact that a lot of the customers don't speak English. And so that's number one. And the number two thing is, of course, is that it is also a very masked, obedient area. Everyone's conforming with what they've been told to do. Hi, Miss L, and always great to see you on the stream as well. Thank you so much for being here. So we have the usual. I mean, I always try to figure which is the funniest scenario in this one. For me, the funniest scenario is hiya, Iber, good to see you. Funniest scenario is the people, which I've seen several of, who rock up in their cars, masked up. They're taking no chances. I mean, honestly, yes, they're on their own. So yes, there's nobody they could give it to, but it doesn't matter. These people are going... Oh, hi, Shane says there's a Unity News Network protest going on in Glasgow. Well done to David Clues and all the gang over at Unity News. Utmost respect for those guys in what they're trying to do, especially in Scotland, which is still pretty much a little tyrannical, you-know-what hole. So good for Unity News. But as I say, our friends here are driving around masked on their own, solo in the car. This apparently is going to keep them safe. I'm not sure what they're staying safe from, but they're staying safe anyway. So as I said, so I've seen the two characteristics of this shopping centre are basically English is not a primary language, and secondly, masks are. Matt, they are indeed masturbators. That's one word to use them. On YouTube, I said masturbators. Although I suppose in some regards, if I used the actual word that plays on, probably YouTube would be happy enough about that, given the strange propensity. Some of the streams that I see on YouTube, well, I don't actually see them, but I see clips of them. Anyway, so folks, so I hope this finds you all well. Continuing the good fight here, trying to keep a sense of... Oh, hi, Max. Good to see you. Just reading your comments as you come in. Hi, so Jeff says, hi from the communist state of Wales. Yeah, well, actually, you know, Jeff, you say the communist state of Wales, but it's pretty much the communist state of everywhere, isn't it? I don't know if you saw, I put out a YouTube earlier about, for example, New Zealand. Don't know if you saw that one. I see they've taken down Sir Winston Churchill's portrait from the New Zealand Parliament because he hurt their feelings. And also Jacinta Ardern, who actually is an acolyte of Tony Blair, lest you forget. She cut her political teeth working, I believe, way back in the day for our Tony, back when he wasn't sending British troops into parts of the world that they should have stayed well out of. Hi, the Reclaw, good to see you as well. Thanks all you guys for saying hello. Miss L says there are still the sheep walking around masked up to the eyeballs. Well, exactly, Miss L. And in particular regard, given that if you're in England, the wearing of masks is no longer a legal requirement. You can take your mask off if you want. But lots of people don't want. This is one of the curious things about this time of mass delusion. People want to keep their masks on. and so I'm not sure if they'll ever take them off again. I mean, I would imagine they'll have an emotional breakdown if they were told. And as I sit here, I'm watching person after person after person putting their little face tissues on as they go into a particular store, when in actual fact, every one of those people, like me, could claim an exemption, but they don't. So I'm afraid my conclusion is that, I mean, I was thinking about this before if I was going to say it or not, actually, but I think I'll say it anyway. It's always my way. I say things and then regret them afterwards. But, honestly, if God was to look down upon the humanity in 2021, do you not think he might think, nah, I'm done. I'm done with these. Where's that asteroid of death? That's what I want to know. Because it seems to me huge chunks of humanity, certainly in the West, have lost all sense of perspective, all sense of reality, really. They're delusional. And that's one thing. I don't mind people being delusional. I'm a libertarian in that sense. People can be as a libertarian as they want. But I don't have to accept it, do I? I remember once being on a BBC programme, I may have told you this, and I was on with someone who identified as to be a different gender to that which they were born. And again, I took the same argument then, that was quite a few years ago now, as I take now. People can think whatever they want. I mean, if someone comes up to me in the street and says, listen, David, I am from the planet Venus and you will respect me. Well, if you think you're from the planet Venus, it's absolutely fine by me. No issues. However, I mean, I don't accept it because you're not. You're really, really not. Yes, Reclaw, it is zombie apocalypse. I put a little live podcast out this morning. By the way, I hope you're all subscribing to my podcast channel and also to the Hard Truth podcast channel that I share with Alana Mercer. Do make sure you hit the subscribe button to both of those. We do a weekly one together. Causes a bit of controversy. So what? Good. That's good. It's all about pricking the bubble, isn't it? It's all about kicking back and challenging things. I love that. Kim says 90% in his local stores are still masked. Hi, James Stranagan. Good to see you in the stream. This is the reality, Kim. They love their masks. I mean, I never, ever, ever thought I'd live to see a time where the vast majority of the British people prefer to be masked up. But they do. They absolutely do. Now, because we're on YouTube, we can't really explore the issues of mask wearing because the World Health Organization recommends it. And who am I to argue back against them? But we can observe that when the government legally stops it being a requirement, so many stick to it. That's strange, isn't it? But it's something about human behavior. So I reckon, God, if you're looking down on all of us here and you're seeing all this, Miss L. Well, I hope that hasn't. I hope listening to my podcast doesn't interfere with I'm sure the delicious meals that you're cooking. But some of them might, mind you. Some of them depends on my podcast. I am pretty much telling it exactly like it is. Unlike this kind of platform where you have to be so particularly careful. Good old YouTube. It's a doyen of free speech. if you live in a planet Zog, perhaps. But yeah, honestly, when you just see the sort of the mass of humanity, it doesn't inspire me. I am not inspired by my fellow man anymore. And Reclaw says they're a physical display of virtue signaling. Well, they are. Hi, by the way, thank you, Kay Winsock. Appreciate your best wishes. If anyone wants to actually send me a super chat to support me, I think you can do that on these live streamies. There's some way of doing that, I think. Iber, each generation is becoming weaker and submissive, and it's sad. It's really, really sad to see. But it does make me kind of look around and think, things is going to get tough in the times ahead, folks, because frankly, this generation, And I include my generation in that as well. I know most of you are probably younger than me. I'm probably a veteran at this point. But, you know, these generations are just not fit to even tie the laces of the generations that came before. The generations who stood up against tyranny, the generations who went to war against tyranny. What would the current generation do? Go to TikTok? Huh? I think there's a possibility that they probably would, and probably are. In fact, you know, when you look at the sort of stuff that so many young people indulge in, it's scary. I know there's lots of good young people out there, so I don't want to be too down on everyone. But just a general observation, especially when you come out into this sort of sea of humanity all around me, all around as I talk to you, I see nothing but people. So and they're doing the usual COVID rituals. They're wiping the trolley handles down. They're washing their hands. They're making sure they have their masks on. Oddly enough. Oh yes, Shane, I have had a look at the yellow card system. Have to be said, the last time, Shane, I referenced that particular document on this platform, I was given a strike. So it looks like you're not allowed to talk about those things, but you can most certainly access those via the internet and see for yourself just how super duper the treatments for you know what are. But yeah, Chris, I think the subversion has been a long time coming, but it's come together really well, hasn't it? You know, like, don't you think that we are slipping so easily into something which is very similar to the Chinese Communist Party's social control system, you know, where you've got your digital pass, everything's monitored. They monitor where you go to shop, they monitor what you eat, they monitor who you talk to, they monitor what you visit online, they monitor everything. And in doing so, it's perfect enslavement. So I laugh when people talk about, oh yeah, what about the enslavement from the 18th century? Heads up, lefties, there's lots of enslavement, digital enslavement happening right now in 2021, and yet you clowns don't want to know about it. You're too busy shouting racist at anyone who brings up anything that dissents from your pathetic little worldview. So yeah, we do have modern slavery, and this is where our societies are. I mean, China is bad enough, obviously, but I think if I look at Australia, currently under martial law, New Zealand, currently cut off from the rest of the world, Canada, and if Biden has his way in the States, one by one, you see certain countries in particular falling. At least I think they're falling. They seem quite happy to, yes, Jeff mentions across the channel, Macron's driving the agenda. And the same agenda, Jeff, is going to come here to the UK. Don't be under any illusions. Johnson will do everything that Macron is trying to do. Now, obviously, you know, the vaccine uptake is much higher in the UK, so maybe the imperative isn't just as great. But then again, it's all about control. And so I think that we're going to see, as we move into the autumn, a real movement against anybody who dares to dissent from the narrative, which unfortunately is people like yours truly, and perhaps people like you. What we need to do, I think, is we need to stand strong. We should remember what our ancestors did. We should remember that when we fought, when we used to fight back against tyranny, rather than cow down to it and grovel and hope that, oh, well, let's hope if I'll let you enslave me on the basis that you'll be kind to me. But you absolutely won't be kind to me at all. You just fall deeper and deeper into slavery. But unfortunately, I think, as we've talked about in this stream so far, you know, people have been so brainwashed into accepting it that in a way that I never saw. So hands up here. Yes, Shane, I saw the video of a little young boy, autistic boy, being forced to have the test at the airport. I saw that. Yep, horrific, Shane. And I have to also say, I do see the French protests, and they give me hope. I've got to say, I wish the Brits, or more Brits, had the sort of spine that the French have. The French have said no to Monsieur Macron. And they're saying it in all kinds of interesting ways. And I fully, absolutely stand by the French. That said, I mean, Macron has introduced a very, very tyrannical program. Miss L says, I'm so glad I was a teenager in the 80s. Much more freedom. Oh, thank you very much, Jean. You're so kind to me. I appreciate the support. In fact, the only way any of this gets done is really by you folks. And so I'm eternally in your debt, literally, for the kindness that you give me. And that's what gives me hope, actually, Jane, is people, yeah, you know, I can look around and I can see the masses and I just think, oh, right, you know, face palm. And then I see the kind of people that come on the stream, people, all of you on the stream at the moment. And yes, that does give me hope, actually. And Kim says he won't buckle. No, Kim, and I won't buckle ever. They will never get me to submit. It's not happening. So that's just it. And they know that. They know that there's a tiny percentage. No, I'm not sure what that percentage is. I keep thinking it's maybe 10%, might be more, but I think it's around that. The problem is, of course, that when we get figures from the government now, everything is so disingenuous that you can't trust any figures. So even though I can't talk about yellow card and all that, but there's other government figures. Thanks, Paul, by the way, for the kind words. I'm glad you liked seeing me in Hearts of Oak. I think I am doing Hearts of Oak with Peter next Saturday, not today, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, I believe I'm in Hearts of Oak. So stand by your beds then and brace yourselves for the onslaught that will occur next Saturday, I think, in Hearts of Oak. If I'm wrong, Peter will correct me. So yeah, I think us folks have withstood it this far, and we've withstood the psychological conditioning. We are strong. And I think we're united as well. That's what that's what gives me confidence. I know that we are all like-minded people, and we support each other. I'm sure we all have our down moments. I certainly do. Don't know about you, but you know, I bounce back. Nothing's keeping me down. Nothing's going to get me to submit. I won't conform to essentially the route to Chinese Communist Party. Communism, technocracy, if you want. Different words you can use for it, but it ultimately is the same thing, where this state that we live here in the UK, if you're watching this in the UK, you know, it's unrecognizable from what it was 2 years ago. But then, don't you think, and I wonder how many of you would agree with me that, you know, my eyes have been opened to so much as a direct consequence of this. So up until this time, you know, it was all about Brexit and we had to get out of the EU. We had to assert our national sovereignty, you know, and yeah, we did that. And how's that working out then? Tell me more about protecting our borders, Priti Patel, Boris Johnson. And of course, as you know, there's no defence of our borders whatsoever. So one of the fundamental aspects of Brexit was to take back control. We've abandoned it. And there's no chance. Anyone thinking that this government is interested in stopping the tsunami of illegal migration crossing the English Channel and landing on our southern beaches, if you think the government has any intention of stopping that, honestly, you're in for a massive, massive delusion. Yes, Jean says, I try not to buy from shops that discriminate against those who don't. Yes, you know, one of the best things we can also do, folks, is use our collective economic power to support each other. So, support small local business if it doesn't discriminate against people. And if you have to go into the big chains, you know, you can limit what you buy in the big chains. A lot of produce, for example, you can get probably much closer to home, grown. If you're not growing it yourself, growing at home. It's Dave Richardson says it's a waiting game. GPs have been in the business. Oh, I just missed that, unfortunately. Unfortunately, on the stream, folks, just so that you know, when I'm doing it this way, as opposed to the normal way, the comments only hang around for a couple of seconds. It's blooming hard to read the comments. So the only way I can see them, actually, more than about 2 seconds, is if they're a super chat comment. So there you go. So yeah, so I think we just have to hold the line, be strong, support each other, support local businesses. Ivory writes, if you're going to use Amazon, I mean, well, actually, you know, it's Amazon, isn't it? It's all of the big tech platforms. Big tech has proven to be such a monstrous, not just failure, but a danger. That's why I am such a critic of Twitter, of Facebook, of the platform I'm talking to you on. These platforms have absolutely failed. And in fact, people will recall that it was last March 2020, so a year and a bit ago, where the platform I'm talking to you on made it clear that it would not allow anyone to talk against WHO guidance. And there it is. Now, you may think that was a very prudent decision by YouTube, but you may also think, but why can't people express opinions? And the answer is, as we move down the conveyor belt towards full-on Chinese Communist Party style authoritarianism, dissent does have to be shut down. And that's exactly what's happening. It's all about shutting down dissent, which is why, folks, if you can follow me on my podcast channel, on the likes of a BitChute or Brand YouTube, any of these other platforms I can put content out on without censorship, it really, really helps, because it allows us to share stuff with each other that these people don't want us sharing. And now I always think, obviously no one wants to see criminality being shared or illegality being shared. But hey, listen, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Why aren't we allowed to say things that we think that others may disagree with? And this is manifest. Absolutely, David Richardson, by the way, the Who do change their minds. But it's all, yes, it is. It's a game, but it's a dangerous game, David. It's a game which is taking us towards a very, very dark place. And as I talk to you today, it's way too warm for this coat I'm wearing. I can't see the temperature, but it's a really warm day. So it's still summer. It's summertime. The living ain't easy, but it's summertime. And in summertime, we know respiratory illnesses vanish, and we know they come back in the autumn. And that's why, if you look carefully what's happening in Australia and New Zealand, the martial law, the lockdowns for no reason. I mean, I think New South Wales, population 8.1 million people. Number of COVID deaths, the way they monitor it, 40. So 40 people out of 8.1 million, and you're actually closing down a state? Makes you think, doesn't it? Makes you think, what will happen here come September, October, November? What do you think? I think we're going to see the reimposition of mask mandates, for example. I think we've been given some of you have been given a summer reprieve. I think we will then see the deadly Delta, or is it Epsilon or Lambda? I've heard that Lambda is, oh my God, if you thought that Delta was bad, just wait till Lambda's going to get you. Delta, Lambda, Epsilon. I remember learning the Greek alphabet years ago, but I've forgotten half of it. But these characters haven't. In fact, did you see, somebody was actually saying, did you see some expert was suggesting that once we've run out of Greek alphabets to allocate against this new variants, we'll have to use the stars. Did you see that? They were saying that, yeah, we could use stars. We could use, so, I don't know, Sirius or Canis Majoris or whatever, the Betelgeuse, all the stars in the heavens. Why? It's almost like they've got a plan to keep producing variant after variant after variant. And I remember when this Delta variant came along, saying to you folks that they're going to really use this one. And boy, hasn't that come true. And it's interesting that the place in the world where the Delta variant was first allegedly diagnosed, although I would have issues about that, but just go with the narrative for a second, that particular country, India, is doing extraordinarily well in reducing the levels of infection in that country. And guess what? It's not doing it through vaccines, but because we're on this platform, we cannot talk about how they're doing it. But if you follow me on the other platforms, most definitely can. Absolutely can. So hey, listen folks, before I melt down, which is what's happening to me at the moment, I'm breaking out into sweat. And it's not just about being on YouTube and watching what I say. It's, I can't. Dog soldier, absolutely. Can't say it though, because it's verboten. This is verboten. You must not talk about these things. There is only one disease, one cure, 1 liter. 1 liter. One Reich. Shish. Stop it. So, oh yes, Shane. Yes, I know what that is, and I can't talk about it on this platform either. But just look up that word and care homes, and I'm sure Google will be your friend and direct you to some of the disturbing stories that relate to that. Okay, right. Listen, I'm off. I'm off to have my lunch and do other things. I've gardening duties to do and the rest of it. So can I wish you all, as always, a really happy Saturday. Thank you so much for taking these minutes to spend with me. I do appreciate every minute you allocate to me, be it here or be it anywhere on any of the other platforms. As you can tell, still standing strong here, folks. I'm sure you are too, and we will not be submitting, and we sure as hell will not be complying. So that's it from me. Everyone stay safe, everyone stay well, and stay healthy. Look after yourselves, and I'll catch you soon. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.